Here's Chris Broussard. All right, here's my theory on this thing. Is that as much as we think the Knicks are great, they ended up with an old T-Mac and a mostly shot D. Rose and an old Sheed and Jason Kidd at the end of his career and Amari with bad knees. They're dancing with the stars. That you're trying to reboot your career on that show. They never end up with the guy.
I love your analogy. That's hilarious. I got another one. The Knicks think, you ever see the movie Shallow Hal? When Jack Black thought he had Gwyneth Paltrow, but,
right.
That's the Knicks. When I moved to New York, I grew up in the Midwest, and I moved to New York in 1998 to work for the New York Times and eventually covered the Nets first, then the Knicks. I was shocked at how much New Yorkers, particularly the media, thought how great the Knicks were. Like, they thought the Knicks were the Lakers, the Cowboys, the Yankees. Every time there was a free agent, at that time, I think Chris Webber at 1 year.
Yeah.
Grant Hill. Even when the Knicks didn't have money, everybody swore they're getting one of these guys. They'll figure something out. These guys will take less, whatever. And I had to tell them, look, I grew up in the Midwest. The Knicks are nothing. If you don't grow up in New York, the Knicks were like the 13th team I thought about when I thought about the NBA as a kid.
Yeah, when I grew up as a kid, the Detroit Pistons were great. Washington was great. The Northwest team, Seattle, Portland were great.
Right. Of course, the Lakers. Detroit, Philadelphia, Houston. Like, the Knicks are not that team. And the worst thing about it with your example, Dancing with the Stars, is that the Stars tease them. Like, every time they go there, they're like, it's the Mecca of basketball. You love playing here in the Garden.
Kobe and MJ is my favorite place to play.
Right. So they tease them,
Wait. There's a lot of places I like to visit. I love visiting New Orleans. Right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had some of my best nights in New Orleans. Doesn't mean necessarily everybody wants to move their family there unless you're born and raised in Louisiana. Then it's right. Like, there are places in the world, the Knicks could be one of them. They're a great place to visit. You don't necessarily want to move and live there for the rest of your life. Colin, and that's not a knock on Louisiana, but it's a party city.
I was talking to someone within the Knicks organization yesterday, and we were talking about the Kyrie thing, how it really looks like he's leaning toward Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And the person said, if we don't get someone this summer, then we might as well just go Atlanta Hawks mode. Just forget free agency for the future and just rebuild through the draft and with young players. Like, forget it. Because, look, as bad as it was in 2010 when LeBron went to Miami and blew off the Knicks, the difference is that they hoped they could get LeBron. The fans, everybody hoped they would get LeBron. Now, they believed they were getting Kevin Durant and still believe they're getting Kevin Durant. So if this summer, when you have 2 max slots, when you have all these free agents, when all this talk has been about Durant and someone else going to New York, if they don't get anybody, this will be the worst summer that they've ever experienced.
This whole thing is crazy. I read a story this morning, and I want to talk about KD. He's not coming back 100% for the series. This has got to be eating him alive. This was going to be, Chris, such a clean break. My 3rd title, I'm the MVP, and I'm going east. It'd be perfect. It's like a movie. This now is a cobbled mess. This is not how movies end. He's going to sit there on the sideline. Toronto may win this series now. Clay's hobbled.
Right.
I mean, I look at this and I think, man, is this how KD wants to end this dynasty? This is a bad ending.
It is. Of course, you don't ever want to end it like this. However, if they lose this series and he leaves, I mean, they can't kill him. Like, he's free to go somewhere else. The question is, do you leave Golden State to go to Brooklyn? Like, I don't see that. Like, the Clippers aren't anything special either historically, but at least it's L.A. and it's a little, they got a little something else going.
So Kevin Durant, who's very sensitive, we would acknowledge that.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. So Kevin Durant has heard for 3 years, oh, you joined a Hall of Fame level point guard. It was his team. So now Kyrie's from Jersey will be seen as the Nets team. So now you're going to join a little flakier ball-centric Hall of Fame level point guard, and it's his team first.
Look, good point, because the Knicks, when they get to talk to KD, because they know Kyrie is recruiting, not going to recruiting KD. already talking to him about, let's go to Brooklyn instead. And some of the feeling, I don't know if this is actually how Kyrie feels, but the feeling among some people in the league is that the reason he prefers Brooklyn is because if it doesn't work out, if you don't win a championship there, you're not getting killed. You know, you go to New York with all the hype of KD and Kyrie coming there. Expectations are championship by year 3. And if you don't deliver, we know, we've seen it with all the legends that have gone there and failed. They kill you. So there's some of that thinking. But when the Knicks get to talk to KD, what you just said will be part of what they say. They'll say, look, you the man. Why are you following Kyrie? He's supposed to follow you.
Thank you.
Whoever you play with, KD, should follow you. But you don't want that narrative. Just what you said. I've heard that from the Knicks. So when they get in front of KD and it looks like Brooklyn is a real threat, they're going to be like, KD, this is why you leave in Golden State, because you don't want that narrative again. Now you're going to go do it all over again?
With a flakier
Have somebody
point guard.
join you? Yeah, like at least Golden State, you knew you were going to win.
Well, and also, I mean, just the personality. Steph is, if nothing else, wildly stable and dependable.
Right.
I mean, Kyrie is incredibly talented, but I think even Kyrie fans, he's a little more erratic. He's moved away from successful partnerships. You know, I'm with you on this. Let me just throw this at you. Somebody told me this years ago. The strongest word on-air talent people should ever use is no. Because managers hear, oh, here's some money, want the job. Yes, I'll take the job. And you say, no. Oh, it's time out. We got to have a meeting. Host doesn't take the... No is powerful.
Right.
Waiting is powerful. Patience is powerful. LeBron would have been better off sitting this year out and perusing the landscape. In 1 year from now, if KD comes back to the Warriors, who's available next year? What teams next year have space? If he just comes back and says, you know what? I watched LeBron. Probably should have taken a deep breath. I'll go back to Golden State, win. In 1 year, does Dallas now with Porzingis and Luka have an opening? Like, who's in a year?
There's that, but also even the teams now that have space. What those teams should do is, if you don't, like, let's say the Knicks strike out.
Right.
Don't go out there and foolishly spend your money on guys that don't deserve it.
Tobias Harris.
That are just going to make you mediocre.
Yeah, good player.
Like, save your money, because then at least you can make trades when you have cap room. Maybe next summer when AD is available, like you said, maybe KD, if he were to stay, he'd be available. But from KD's perspective, he can look at the landscape. Where does Kyrie go? How does it work out? Where does Kawhi go? How does it work out? What's going on with the Clippers? It doesn't even have to be different teams. It will be some of them, but it doesn't have to be different teams. You can just watch and see how this plays out with the current teams that have cap room.
It's crazy. So Clay plays tonight. Clay will not be 100%. He popped a hamstring. They'll probably want to get about 28 minutes out of him. If nothing, he's a great decoy.
They need 20-plus points.
My takeaway is, what do you think happens tonight?
Well, I'm going to stick with my pick of Golden State in 6, but I'm not hung up on the games now. I'm just hung up on Golden State.
Now, Kerr said, I had this, what is this, Joy? Kerr said that Durant will be available for game 5.
Well, possibly 5 or 6.
So is that
we've been hearing
is that
this
telling
since the
you
Portland series.
If Golden State wins tonight, it's 6?
I would believe that.
That's
yes.
what I think.
Yes, but I'm. If you put a gun to my head, I don't know now, because I've heard so many things about KD. I heard before the final started, he's not going to play. It's worse than people are letting on. This was from people close to it. Then, of course, there came out the reports that he'll be ready for game 3 or 4 or now 5 or 6. So I don't know what to believe. But if you put a gun to my head and I had to make a bet, I would say I don't think he plays in the series.
That's what Joy says.
Yeah, just because, like, this has been going on now for a month. Oh, he might be back in a few games. He might be back in a few weeks. And it just keeps getting longer and longer. I'm not a doctor, obviously, a sports doctor who watched KD in some of these clips. When KD had the ice pack on, the doctor said to me, why is the ice pack so low? It's not on his calf. The ice pack was down below the calf, near the Achilles. He wasn't suggesting it's a torn Achilles, but that's not where the ice pack would be on a strained calf.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.